Hi, bestie. Welcome back to Calls with Your Kinky Bestie, the podcast. I'm excited to be chatting with you today. I have some exciting news to share. We're also just going to do a little vision check-in. I want to know what's going on with you, check in with you on how clear you are on your goals and what you want, because that's seriously how you fucking get it, is by being real about it. Because I'll be honest, I've had some lazy moments with some of my vision lately too. So yeah, I just want to have a little collective vision check-in. Remind you that how important that is and get clear on what it is. And I'm going to share with you these life updates of mine too. Moving in with my Dom. Oh, did I already say it? That's the big news, is that I'm moving in with my Dom. All right, we'll come back to the vision check. We'll start with the cute updates now. So it must have been a few weeks ago now, I posted an episode where I shared kind of the behind the scenes of my dynamic with my daddy Dom, who's also my partner of a couple years. And as part of that, I shared that we've been living apart for the past, the whole time we've been together. We both live alone, but, kind of close together and stuff. So we spent a lot of time together, but we just literally haven't been living together. And part of my preferences is to definitely have a lot of my own space. I've really loved living alone the past 2 years. I might even do it again in the future. We'll see. But yeah, it's been definitely a period of huge self-development and growth to be able to be alone with my own shit and see myself. Because sometimes when you have roommates, it then just becomes about you kind of project your other stuff and your issues that you think you have with your roommate are really somehow reflected back to stuff you just need to figure out with yourself. If you have an issue with a roommate that doesn't clean up after themselves, well, part of the issue is that you're learning how to advocate for your needs and working through the discomfort of that and creating clear expectations and stuff. Certainly there are just incompatibilities and stuff, but there's also a lot of self-learning living with other people. But anyways, I've been living alone for a long time and it's been so fucking huge for me, I'll be honest with you. And so it's definitely something that I've grown to really value. And it's also, living alone is I've lived alone as I got my adult ADHD diagnosis. So I was able to really start just testing out workaround strategies and figuring out my flow now that I know this about myself. Not only workaround strategies, but also making accommodations for myself. Living alone has been a lot easier to just be able to immediately implement and test, and my home really became my playground for my stuff. And it was also through living alone that I learned a lot about that's part of the reason why I started seeking out an ADHD diagnosis, as it was becoming really obvious to me the things that were I was struggling with that other people weren't, because I was really staring at it up close, and I didn't have the same social pressure of, because sometimes social pressure can give some people with ADHD, it did for me, it gave me some motivation to keep things clean and tidy and presenting a certain image, because I lived with other people, or just, I lived with another person. So I felt a little bit more motivation and pressure to do that than I would have living alone. And then living alone, I realized, oh shit, I don't have any of that motivation without anyone present. If it's just me, I'm having a really hard time doing this. Whereas I know other people who live alone have an easier time self-motivating and getting this stuff done. Why can't I? So it really, helped me to see that about myself and get curious about myself, and then eventually seeking out testing and diagnosis for ADHD as an adult. And at the time I'm recording this, I'm also have a time scheduled to get tested for autism as well. I don't yet have a diagnosis, but really suspecting that I am autistic as well, which is another thing that I have been able to learn and realize about myself through living alone that I don't know if I would have in the same way living with other people. But anyways, it's just been, a huge piece of my lifestyle and my development and growth for the past few years. So I am mourning living alone. And oh, it's a little sad. But also, I'm very excited to be with my partner because, oh my God, I love him so fucking much. And it really can be a challenge to spend the time that we want to together living apart when we both have like separate houses to maintain and different responsibilities in our homes with our pets and stuff. So it's really going to be a game changer being able to live together and team up and also like be able to up level our lives a little bit, sharing resources. It's definitely, it can be cheaper to live alone, sharing expenses and stuff. So there's a lot of cool things. I don't really know all the implications yet as we haven't moved in yet at the time of recording this, but it's coming and I'm very excited to share about all of that too and how that will change things in our dynamic because we have a lot of ideas. But okay, vision check. So that's been my vision for a while, has been to live with him. I did envision it being a little bit different. I've been wanting to get a duplex together, was like this idea in my head I had that I really wanted, because I do really value having my private alone space, but I also want to be really close to him so we can do a lot of those like things I just shared. And it's just not going to be our next step. That would be a lot more expensive that we're both not ready for yet. But maybe in the future, that's what we'll do. Who knows? Or maybe living together will work really nicely. But our compromise is that we're living together, but with separate bedrooms. So we'll still get lots of private space. And, we're both very boundaried people who like alone time too. So I think it'll be okay. I'm sure there will be challenges, but yeah. So that's been my vision for a while. So that's coming to life. Not only the living with my dom part, but also just like some of the elements of our home together are things I've been visioning and manifesting for a while now, including like, I've really wanted a yard for my dog. My dog fucking loves a yard. Before I adopted him, he had a home with a yard that he really loved. And so I'm very excited to be able to provide that for him. So he can have more outside time and just like, he just loves to fucking run around, So I'm very excited for him to be able to do that and have some off-leash time in a fenced yard and still be secure and everything. And there are just like little elements of the home I'm very excited for, like, oh, it's a really fancy fridge that makes ice. Wow. Like we'll have a porch we can hang out at, and just like it's a quiet neighborhood and things like that are exciting that I've been looking forward to. But one of the biggest things that I'm really excited about and is part of my next vision is that this home will have a dedicated office for my business, for Kinky Bestie. Yay! I'm calling it Kinky Bestie HQ, headquarters, KBHQ. It'll be awesome. Have all these plans for how I want to, get things set up and content I want to create there. But so it's exciting to like have a dedicated space that I can really like step into this biz ownership era and all the cool stuff that has been happening with Kinky Bestie. Because in my current home, I really haven't had like a dedicated space for it. Like I live alone, so it's still relatively easy for me to have my mentorship calls because I do one-on-one calls with subs, like video chats and stuff. And so I was able to just do that wherever in the house, even though I didn't have a dedicated room because I lived alone. So like hearing wasn't an issue. Whereas in my next home, we'll need to have like a separate room with some, so that my partner can't hear, and I'll have to do some other things like make sure I'm always wearing headphones and stuff just in case, and that kind of stuff, which I'm just not used to. But I'm very excited to have my own space because part of the next vision is to make Kinky Bestie a bigger part of my life, a bigger part of my income. I'd like this to take over my other job that I have at some point because I do work part-time for another remote job right now. And I also, like a big vision I have that I'm working towards is creating some sort of community offer. Like I think it would be great to have some sort of live community offer. Like I have a course now, and I'm going to have other courses in the future, which are video courses that like many people can take, but it's different from but other than that, I just have my one-to-one offers where it's just me and one other person. So I'd really like to be able to create some sort of like community space with like me and like several other subs live. I think that would be really, really lovely. So that's part of my vision that I'm working towards, which is very exciting. So, thanks for coming along on this journey. I'm definitely going to share all of the stuff as it unfolds, like what my office is looking like and what's happening with this community offer and stuff. I don't know how long. I don't know when I'll launch that or exactly all the details of what it's going to be yet, but it's part of the vision, you know? So here's your check-in. What is your vision right now? What has been your vision for a while? Are there certain things that are like falling to the back that you haven't worked on in a while? Because that tends to be a little sign that like maybe that's actually not that big of a priority for you, and maybe the thing at the front is actually the thing you really want, and this other thing will come around later. And something that happened in our house hunting journey is I kept finding places that felt really exciting and lovely, that I would like really want for like short periods of time, but then they just wouldn't work out. Like it was someone else was already looking at it, and so they weren't letting anyone else look at it until they went through the application process. It was mostly just that, like happening a few times, or like sometimes the like location or the price wasn't just quite right. But it felt like we were close a couple times, and so it was like really demotivating when it didn't happen. So if this is happening to you with part of your vision, this is just your time to check in and reflect and go like, well, what are really the priorities of my vision? What do I really want to have happen? And what ended up happening with ours is like we had a couple of those things fall through that felt like close. And then I went through like a frustration period, but then I also went through like well, it doesn't matter. Like I'm not going to give up and stop searching. I'm still going to keep looking, but I'm going to look in a slightly different way. Like I'm going to be a little bit more flexible and see what's coming up. Not necessarily flexible in like the minimums and the things that we needed. Like we still needed a fenced yard. We still needed an extra bedroom for my business and for us to like be and have separate bedrooms and stuff. But like there were some places, well, if you've been in the house hunting or apartment renting world recently, you know that there are like some companies that really have a lot of information online. So it's easier to like filter through for exactly what you want. But then sometimes like smaller companies and stuff maybe don't post as many photos online. They don't share all the information in the description. So you can't find them whenever, like they get filtered out when you apply all your filters of what you want. So I started kind of like taking those filters out, like being more flexible in like the type of the quality of the listings I was looking at, and being open to like what the quality of the actual like house was, and not so much like to how high of a standard the listing for the house was created at, because you know the listing doesn't really matter whenever you move in. What matters is whenever you move in, and the price is what you need it to be, and the house is the amenities that you want, not necessarily that when you were looking, the listing had all of the amenities listed out for you, you know? So that really helped being a little bit more like lenient in that. So maybe if you've been going through like an online dating search, maybe being a little bit more flexible with like, hey, this person isn't explicitly sharing that they want to do this thing, but they're not sharing that they don't want to do this thing. So maybe let's just check it out, and feeling a little nudge and a little interest to send a little message to this person. And stuff. And yeah, just taking a step back. What's been coming through for you lately? It's also really easy whenever you manifest something new to just like move on to the next thing. And by the way, there is absolutely zero shame in that. At least for me. Oh my God, because like we are humans. It is literally our nature to want to self-develop and always be like improving and growing and doing new things. It's not wrong to want different things, but it is wrong whenever you achieve something really cool or you get this thing that you want and you just like move on and don't congratulate yourself for it because it's really fucking cool. It's really big to be able to have a vision for yourself, hold the vision long enough to actually get it, and then, take the actions that need to happen for it all to come through together for you. It's a really fucking big deal. And the more often you do it, you just grow that skill set. And then by like really stopping and celebrating and appreciating whenever it does come through, it's definitely rewarding yourself and the universe and reinforcing that like this is a thing that should continue happening because you can appreciate it whenever it does show up for you. So that's my little update. A little lipstick on the teeth on it. I think that's time to go. And that's my update, and that's our little vision check-in. And if you are working through a new vision and you want some support with it, oh my God, especially if you're kinky and it's like a kinky kind of vision, like bringing kink into your life, reach out to me. You can be a mentee of mine. I do private kink mentorship, and soon I'll be doing it out of a new home office. I'll have the link in the show notes to apply to get vetted for Kink Mentorship. And I'll see you in the next episode regardless. Bye, friends. Thanks.